Halloween of Horror is one of the smartest concepts for a Simpsons episode in the past 2 decades. It is such a good idea. This is a series that had done so many Halloween episodes. It's a part of the identity of the show. But up to that point, The Simpsons had never done an episode about Halloween. It's paradoxically this void in The Simpsons' lives. How do they celebrate this holiday? Who is that big Halloween person in the family? This is our chance to find out what this yearly tradition actually means to the series. Halloween of Horror feels very self-aware in how much it emphasizes that sense of tradition. And it's not all meta-humor, leaning into the novelty of a non-Treehouse of Horror Halloween episode. They get most of that stuff out of the way immediately, with this excellent Homer Flanders joke. No, they're more interested in world building and setting the scene. They throw a bunch of brand new elements at us. Did you guys know that every year The Simpsons put up Ever-Scream Terrors? Did you know that the Quickie Mart turns into a Spirit Halloween? Did you know that Lisa had a childhood toy named Taily? Of course we didn't. Obviously, sitcoms in general do this a lot. Just make up some random plot element for this one episode and never speak of it again. But this technique feels organic in this case. For a series that has such a strong Halloween tradition, why wouldn't its characters similarly have such strong traditions? I totally buy it, that The Simpsons are hardcore Halloween people. They're that family on the block. They do a great job of making the audience feel like we've been missing out on this slice of life each year, while we go off to non-canonical treehouse land. The reason all this world building is important is that it provides the foundation for Lisa and Homer's character arcs. Act 1 does a wonderful job portraying Lisa's excitement. Her gushing about the decorations and bragging about being old enough to go to Halloween Horror Night. I like this overconfident Lisa. That is not necessarily a pride cometh before the fall thing, but more a young kid who grew up with these traditions and is super enthusiastic about a new experience. Similarly, Act 1 plays Homer as the super enthusiastic parent, that each of his kids have always loved this stuff and looks forward to sharing this next level of fun with Lisa. They lean hard into Homer's naivete and obliviousness. This Quickie Mart scene might be annoying to some, that Homer doesn't understand the grift these guys are pulling and rats them out. Even when these guys are pissed off and threatening him, this dense idiot still can't pick up what they're putting down. I guess this is an episode where Homer has never left his house or talked to a person before. But this characterization works with the goals of the episode. Homer is in irresponsible pleasure-seeking mode. He's so laser-focused on having the best Halloween ever that he sees basically nothing around him. In my opinion, Homer is the most important character in making Halloween of Horror work. He has to facilitate Lisa's character arc later, so it's important that we like him and can relate to him while still recognizing his flaws. And Halloween of Horror handles this masterfully. Like, take the Halloween Horror Night scene. I have to say right here, as someone who has no kids of his own, but is the fun uncle to like a dozen nieces and nephews, this whole sequence is a vibe. I have been to theme parks with the kids, have been dragged by the arm to get on a ride, and have seen them go ghost white the moment the ride starts. You said you wanted to ride this. You immediately feel so bad that you didn't see this coming. I really like that they included this moment. That Lisa going to the horror park and getting scared isn't enough to drive the story. They need this moment of bargaining from Homer, the reminder of how expensive the tickets were, and suggesting to give it a second chance. It really demonstrates that difficult line that parents face, where they want to give that gentle push of overcoming first-time jitters to have a new experience, while also not pushing them into situations that they're not ready for. Homer mentioning the price of tickets brings that pragmatic and selfish aspect into it. Is Homer truly trying to give that helpful push, or is he just butthurt about the night being ruined and the money wasted? Then of course, Homer ends up biffing it anyway by immediately losing Lisa and letting her get traumatized by the horde. I have to say though, what the hell, Krusty Land? All these grotesque creatures everywhere surrounding one guest. Like, the joke is how they're all making fun of Lisa for panicking and thinking this is real. But my god, way to go all out on an 8-year-old. In high school, I actually used to work at a haunted attraction, and we had general guidelines for how far to go with this stuff. For example, be careful with dudes, because they may take a swing at you. Obviously, The Simpsons is exaggerating what these parks are like for laughs. I'm just saying Krusty Land should be footing Lisa's therapy bills. With Lisa, it's smart how much they lean into how quote-unquote irrational these fears are. We get this school sequence, where they show off how all these fake decorations transform into horrific images, how she shivers and cowers from ever-scream terrors. Lisa is supposed to be the rational skeptic of the family, most likely to logic her way through this stuff. This approach provides a true challenge, watching Little Miss Smartypants regress into clutching Taily like a kindergartner. Taily itself is an especially nice plot element to introduce, giving Lisa and the audience something to latch onto, both physically and symbolically. As for Homer, there's an argument that he should understand how traumatized Lisa is by this imagery, but I liked their approach to have him continue ever-scream terrors as usual, doggedly adhering to his traditions. To Homer, doing this is a part of his holiday identity. It's effective in demonstrating his character turn, this sacrifice to become skippers for the sake of his daughter. Homer absolutely hates it. It's clear how bitter he is. But he's finally putting on his big boy pants and making this sacrifice. There's a danger of Homer being too soft in this story, too much of a supportive TGIF sitcom dad. So showing this inner frustration is extremely important. After this point, Homer goes into responsible parent mode the rest of the way through, trying to create a sense of normalcy and shield Lisa from these real-life terrors. He's no longer the distracted, pleasure-seeking Krusty Land dad, he's locked in. Here's my biggest issue with Halloween of Horror though. They spend so much time setting the stage and carefully establishing their character arcs that they don't have that much time to demonstrate growth during this danger sequence. The guys show up at the door around the 10:30 mark, and we don't learn they're in the house until 13:30. And considering they have to devote a couple minutes to Marge and Bart, it doesn't leave that much space to get Lisa to this culmination. They try running to Flanders and then go back and get Taily. And after that, it's straight to the attic, where they stay until the climax. The whole shebang hinges on this one scene, where Homer confesses that he gets scared too, but that he can't let fear shut down his brain. It's a very tender moment, with a wonderful Dan Castellaneta performance, but I don't know. I need a little more. I need one more plot point to test Homer and Lisa before she can make that big sacrifice. I'm not even sure how to fix this issue, because what are they gonna do? Try a Home Alone shenanigan before retreating to the attic? Come on. There's not a lot of places for them to physically go. Maybe a stealth sequence? Lisa needs to see Homer pushing through his fears, so that his speech can truly reach her. As is, the emotional turn is too fast for me, and it doesn't hit as hard as it should. I appreciate how they implemented these plot elements, with Homer's decorations drawing them to the house. All that is great. Maybe this is one of those where I wish they had another 3 minutes. As for these guys, I think the writers hit a nice balance of making them real life threatening, but not get over the top about it. Putting them in these Halloween masks suits their professions and creates that juxtaposition of silly scary and real scary. They intentionally lean into the horror tropes, effectively merging Homer and Lisa's fears. The whole point is to observe the concept of adult fears versus kid fears. They provide that contrast while making them feel similar. I like that they included this detail, that these guys say that they're just gonna beat up Homer. I think that's an important detail in grounding this story. That these guys are dirtbags who would break into a house to beat the crap out of someone for revenge, but they're not like murderers. It's an important distinction. I'm not trying to give them a pass, because obviously what they're doing would be terrifying to anyone, but Halloween of Horror is not about real-life monsters, and the writers wisely resist going to that extreme. These guys are just dirtbags. In fact, at the end, they try to find a silver lining for them. So I think we're not meant to totally condemn them to hell or anything. So far, I've covered Homer and Lisa in great detail, but what about Marge and Bart? There might be an instinct to totally junk this whole B-plot to build Lisa's growth arc more. However, I appreciate that they didn't totally discard Bart in favor of Lisa. They built such a strong theme about Halloween traditions. Therefore, it's important to look at the flip side. What happens to Bart when all this gets taken away from him? Halloween of Horror's primary technique is to punch Bart in the face over and over again, and call that a subplot. We go from leaving Krusty Land early, to Skinner dressing him down, to Homer removing Ever-Scream terrors. One disappointment after another. This does set him up for Marge to swoop in and save the day, offering to take him to Rich People Halloween, but even that becomes this horrible tease when they get turned away. And then he can't even trick or treat because it's too late. It's essentially Bart and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad Halloween. It's extremely repetitive. On the other hand, Bart's storyline does feel relatable, where sometimes something bad happens that's out of your control and things snowball. I think everybody remembers having a holiday as a child where nothing went right. So while Bart doesn't have any agency, it is at least a fun change of pace. And you all know me, I love Marge helping Bart and trying to relate to him. I love how she sells him on the block party with the E.T. puppet that will repeat curse words back to him, and how she was ready to bribe Wise Guy with these zipline tickets. It mirrors Homer's main storyline well, this picture of two parents trying to help their kids with different Halloween needs. But enough about Marge and Bart. This B-plot is remembered for adult Halloween. So, fun fact, I think I've seen this song more than any other sequence in the entire series. Because of researching Simpsons histories, like every adult character is in it. But I'm totally fine with that, because this is one of the best songs in series history. Like, okay, it's not monorail level good, but what is? Lyrically, it's not as clever, and is mostly them just going down a list of costumes. But presentation-wise, it's really damn good. It uses its cast of characters extremely well, passing the lyrical baton from person to person, while revealing their revealing costumes. Who knew that Rainer Wolfcastle could pull off Jessica Rabbit? That Kirk Van Houten is basically just walking around nude with an acorn. Barney punctuating the scene with the famous Borat outfit. Hilarious. I suspect Chief Wiggum only needed to buy the Frankenstein part of his costume, if you catch my drift. I like how they evoke the feel of the time warp from Rocky Horror, with the raunchiness and how hard they hit the chorus. But they're not like slavishly devoted to doing a carbon copy. The verses in particular are much more high energy. It's constantly pushing us to the next thing, just a relentlessly peppy number. It's so perfectly designed to scare Marge and Bart away. The only downside is that it doesn't help to close out their actual story. The culmination of Bart's arc is finally getting to celebrate Halloween at Ever-Scream Terrors. Look at how happy he is. But this is just a product of Homer and Lisa's story. Bart's is basically, Halloween sucked, Marge tried, and luckily it worked itself out. Okay. But maybe that's nitpicking. Marge and Bart's B-plot is very fun, and that's the real goal here. From a jokes perspective, I don't think Halloween of Horror is the most laugh-out-loud thing ever. It's got two big memorable sequences. But for such an outlandish and spooky setting, its bread and butter is observational character-driven humor. This is a Carolyn Omine script, and she is basically the Simpsons' modern master of funny, relatable character work, especially when it comes to the family. I love how Homer whistles the Halloween theme to himself out of anxiousness, then gets Lisa doing it. Wise Guy confessing that zipline means everything to him, but still rejecting Marge's bribe. Ralph Wiggum declaring he saw an areola. Homer happily whispering to Marge that we burn Taily. Humor-wise, it feels like a season 7 kind of script, you know? Since they're still gonna do their wacky and bloody Treehouse of Horror next week, this Halloween special can be more down to earth. I think that's what I appreciate most about Halloween of Horror, that it's so complementary to regular Treehouse of Horrors. It's not more of the same. I just counted down the scariest moments in Treehouse of Horror history. But Halloween of Horror says something about the terrors of the season that none of these specials ever addressed. Following Lisa's terrified reaction to this imagery, despite it all being pretend. Homer's real-life fears of home intruders, trying to protect and shield his daughter. Bart's fear of missing out, seeing everyone celebrating without him. And Marge's fear of disappointing her son. Halloween of Horror really does give us that holistic view of what Halloween means to people. It's thoughtful, action-packed, scary, and fun. It runs the whole Halloween gamut. As mentioned earlier, I don't think Halloween of Horror is perfect or anything. There are certainly things about its pacing and its character arcs that could be stronger. But still, this thing is awesome and deserves its place on modern Simpsons classic lists. It's the kind of episode that proves that even in season 27, The Simpsons can find new spins on old traditions. Thus concludes my Halloween coverage this year. Don't forget to eat way too much candy this week, and thanks for watching.